I'm Mark Dresner, and this is MDRP TV, an executive interview series featuring specialists and experts in government pricing and reimbursement programs. Joining me today is Rob LaPorte. He is the Director of Government Reporting and Compliance at Westward Pharmaceuticals. Rob, welcome to MDRP TV.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here, Mark.
Great to have you. Let's dive in with a question everybody's going to be looking for your answer from. Some aspects of the proposed rule are a pretty big departure from the past. Where do you think CMS is heading in their interpretation?
I really would take the position that CMS is trying in a very strong good faith effort to better understand the industry so that the pricing pressures that are occurring in the public sector can get relieved. I mean, essentially that's what it comes down to. They're spending too much money in healthcare and they're looking for ways to save money or cut costs. And historically, the approach they have taken hasn't turned out quite the way they intended it to. And with the enactment of the ACA, or quote-unquote Obamacare, there are new mechanisms in place and an approach in which to save money to the government. And they now understand, in my opinion, they understand that they have to reach out to the industry a little bit more because the pharmaceutical industry is really two distinct beasts. We have the legacy big brand companies out there with the blockbuster drugs like LaPorte and Nexium and those things. And then we have the generic industry, which is a recent development in the industry. And the rules in which govern these things really don't apply so well to the generic industry. And now they're coming around to understanding that and trying to act in a way to better accommodate this change in the dynamic of the industry.
Mm-hmm. There's still a lot of uncertainty and a lot of what-ifs in there. What can manufacturers, or what do manufacturers need to think about as they prepare for the new rule?
I can tell you what I'm doing. We are trying to offline build as many possible scenarios of where we hear or think that they might go with this thing so that we can implement change rather quickly. We use an out-of-the-box solution to do a lot of our reporting, and we're working with our software vendor and provider to help us in that process. But I do think that in some ways we are stretching the limits of their creativity because what we want them to program to do is pretty significant change. And it's not just config changes, it's actual programming changes, which can be difficult and slow. And again, I'm hoping this is not a big departure by CMS in the final rule, that they give us an adequate amount of time to accommodate these changes, because there does seem to be a sense there that industry has all this money and they'll just throw it at it and the resources will be there and they can turn it around like that. And it's just not that simple.
Well, thanks so much for sitting down with us today. You've really given us a lot to think about and a great perspective on what's going on out there.
It's my pleasure. I appreciate the opportunity.
Great to have you. And that concludes this episode of MDRP TV. Until next time, I'm Mark Dresner. Thanks for tuning in.